Hi there. Good morning. And thank you all for joining us for practical cybersecurity protection for small businesses. Since I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to speak with you through our partnership with SBAM. I'm Kim Quinn with SensCy's marketing team. And before we get started, just a couple quick notes on housekeeping. As you heard when we started the session is being recorded. We will make that available to you after today's session. You can expect a follow-up email from SensCy probably later today, if not first thing tomorrow morning. And also, we will have time for Q&A at the end of today's session. So if you have a question, you can use the chat or the Q&A feature in Zoom to send your question through at any time, and we'll just hold them until the end. And then we'll go ahead and take them. So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and get started? As I mentioned, I'm Kim with SensCy, and I'm joined today by SensCy's president, Frank Sadeghi. Frank's background is in building high-performing organizations. He's responsible for SensCy's growth, strategy, and overall business performance. And also today with us is Kelly Nearing, who's the Senior Director, Products and Services with SBAM. And Kelly and SBAM have been truly just fantastic partners to SensCy. And so moving on into our agenda. So here's what we'll plan to cover. We'll start by sharing trends that we're seeing in today's environment. Then we'll cover who's perpetrating these attacks and why, because understanding the threat actors is really foundational to cybersecurity. Then we'll talk about today's most common attacks and how those attacks actually reach small to mid-sized businesses. And then from there, we'll talk through practical steps small and mid-sized businesses can take to mitigate risks. And then finally, we'll outline an exclusive offer for SBAM members. And as I mentioned, we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. But before I pass it over to Frank to get us started, Kelly, would you like to say a couple words?
I would love to, Kim. Thank you. So again, I'm Kelly Nerick. I'm with the Small Business Association of Michigan, and I manage all of our product and service partnerships. In 2022, we launched our partnership with SensCy, and that came as a result of feedback that we received from our small business members that cybersecurity was a big concern for them, and they needed a trusted resource to provide solutions for them in this space. So SensCy has proven to be a very valuable partner for SBAM over the last 4 years. More recently, our conversations with members have been focused on how we're all closely managing our expenses, and we need solutions that deliver real value but don't add to unnecessary costs or complexity. So cybersecurity is no exception. We know that small businesses are being targeted more frequently, but many of the solutions on the market, they're priced and designed for much larger organizations. So in addition to walking us through the current threats, real world examples, and practical actions, I'm very excited that SensCy will also be reviewing their new, more affordable cybersecurity offering, one that focuses on practical risk reduction and support that makes sense for small and medium-sized businesses. So with that, I'm very pleased to welcome Frank. Go ahead and kick us off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you, Kim. Um, I really appreciate the opportunity to briefly, walk everyone here through who we are at SensCy, shed some light in terms of what we're seeing out in the market when it comes to cybersecurity and what we do. So with that said, I'm going to kind of dive right in. So at a high level, in terms of, let's talk about who is SensCy and our vision. And our vision is really, really simple. We want to be the trusted guide for sensible cybersecurity for small and medium-sized businesses. This market is defined for any companies, think about it, between 10 to 1,000 employees in all industries. So think about companies that keep things running. They serve their customers, support their employees, really spend a lot of time contributing to their communities, and are also laser focused in thriving and expanding their business. But yet, most of these organizations perhaps don't have the time, resources, or expertise to keep up with today's cyber threats. So that's where SensCy comes. And our mission at SensCy is to improve the cyber health in a way that for companies that it's practical, cost efficient, clear, and easy to act on through real guidance, tools, and education that fits the small, medium-sized business operationally and efficiently. So how do we bring the mission to life? We bring it to life through three focus areas. Number one, clarity. So clarity, this is where SensCy Score, it's our cybersecurity assessment. Think about this as a simple, measurable way to understand an organization's cyber posture, like a credit score, but it's for cybersecurity. And I'll talk about the solution in a little bit deeper in a couple of minutes. The second item we focus on is through our cybersecurity advocates, a trusted advisor, a dedicated expert who helps organizations understand their risk, build a cyber strategy, select action, and ultimately protect them and mitigate risk on an ongoing basis. And the third piece is coverage and compliance. So really think about this as our holistic solution, high touch, high tech. We provide a solution and monitoring that it's needed to reduce risk and really help companies stay in compliance, and plus being an extension of organizations' IT department or managed service providers. So this is just a high level who we are, what we do. Now I'm going to kind of put some of these risks into context. If we can go to the next slide. Talk about what are some of the risks that we're seeing out in the market. Why does even a company like SensCy exist? So this is fascinating data here. So cyber attack occurs every 39 seconds. So just think about that. Globally, every 39 seconds, there's a cyber attack. And 43% of those attacks are targeted towards small and medium-sized businesses. The very organizations that often most people assume aren't on the hacker's radar, but the reality is the opposite. They are the preferred target. Why? Because only 6% of small, medium-sized businesses are following even the basic cybersecurity practice. So that's the gap. That's exactly what the attackers look to exploit and look for. And this impact can be pretty severe. And you can see on here the average cost to recover. The data that we have is around $250,000. And without an incident response plan, a downtime for a company could be 21 days. So most organizations, simply can't withstand 3 weeks of having issues and not being operationally ready to go. So that's some industry trends data that we get. Now, let's talk about who's attacking organizations. Who are the kind of the bad actors? So, what's interesting, when most people think about cyber attacks, they picture this highly sophisticated criminals or foreign governments, right? And while those groups are part of the threat landscape, the reality for many organizations, the audience is much broader, okay? And small to medium-sized organizations are being targeted by multiple category of attackers. And really each of them, they could have a different motives, right? And they have different level of sophistications. So I'm going to go through some of them here with you real quickly. Number one, cyber criminals, they're the biggest threat to any commercial clients, to any organizations. Their motivation is money. I mean, pure and simple. They don't care about the company size often. They have found going after small and medium-sized companies a little bit easier. And it doesn't matter if they can get 5,000, 50, 250,000 by stealing data or deploying ransom, they will do it. These are the actors behind most of the attacks companies face. Then you also have kind of nation states, terrorist groups, nation states. So think about like the Russias of the world, Iran, China, North Korea. Their focus primary is on government, large enterprises. They focus on geopolitical disruption, but the tools that they have developed often get repurposed and sold on the dark web, which eventually becomes the same tool that's used against small and medium-sized organizations by all cyber criminals. Okay, there's a terrorist group increasingly using cybercrime to fund their activities. There's hacktivists. They target really organizations for ideological reasons. So think about these might be individuals that might disagree with something the company says, supports, or represents. So they look to disrupt their operation or leak data. You also have inside threats. Think about employees or contractors who already have access to your system. Doesn't happen that often, but it happens enough, right? But when it does, financial and operational impact can be pretty significant with insider threats. And there's the thrill seekers. I mean, we see this quite often. Usually younger individuals, they attack systems simply for excitement, to test their skill set. Often they don't have a malicious intent, but they can still take a business offline. So we see that quite a bit too. So these are the individuals, the groups that do it. Now, what method do they use? Let's get into how they attack us. So these attacks succeed not always because a business, they're doing something wrong, but it's because the attackers exploit perhaps a simple everyday gaps that most small businesses don't see coming. Okay. Now, by far, still the number one reason, phishing, smishing, right? I mean, phishing is still the number one method criminals use to gain access, right? Employees or individuals, they get tricked into clicking a link or sharing credentials, which becomes the doorway for accounts to be taken over, invoice fraud, and ransom. So phishing still on top of the list. A fast-growing threat that we're seeing for many companies are business email compromise. So criminals gain access to a mailbox and change payment instructions on invoices, right? And both the sender and the intent individual that's receiving the email, I mean, they could lose funds, and often the banks cannot recover them. Let me just kind of give you an example, right? It could be a vendor emailing saying, we updated your bank account. When an employee sees that or anyone sees that, they must call a vendor using a known trusted phone number, not the one that perhaps you see in the email, to confirm, is that really what's happening? But business email compromise, it's a fast-growing issue. You got spoofing. Attackers sent emails that look like they come from an owner, CFO, or a trusted vendor. A lot of their messages leads directly to fraud, ACH, wire, or payroll change. That's something that you always have to be mindful of. Social engineering, my goodness, this is, especially with the use of AI, the bad actors are getting really, really good in this area. They pretend There's somebody, someone that you know. It could be a vendor, an executive, or even a bank staff. Um, they are actually creating like videos, like it could be somebody else, but the image on a Zoom. It could be me or Kim or Kelly. There's a lot of sophistication with social engineering, and that something that really, really every organization has to be sensitive to and be aware of. The other items that we're seeing, and this is something that's very close to what we do at SensCy, is third-party supplier risk. So increasingly, criminals have figured out a little bit of backdoor way of getting to companies. They might not attack you directly. They compromise the vendor or software that you use, one of your suppliers, one of the vendors, to connect to your environment. That access is becoming the entry point for ransom fraud or data theft. And that's another common thing we're seeing. Other areas, just real quickly, exploiting unpatched systems, software vulnerabilities, that's published publicly. So when patches aren't applied, attackers use those known weaknesses to break in, exploiting public-facing IPs and website. Anything exposed to internet can be scanned and attacked. Other ways, this is, where we're at coffee shops and at clubs and airports. It's shoulder surfing. Criminals physically are close by you. They observe or record user entering login credentials. Again, at airports, coffee shops, hotel lobbies, or conferences. Once they capture that username password, they can log into your banking portal, payroll system, get involved with emails. Another example, the bad actors, they create a fake Wi-Fi, right? You can be at Starbucks. They can create a Starbucks dash guest. That's a Wi-Fi that they can create, and you think that's safe. It's public domain. You go in, and the minute you do, they got you, right? So the shoulder surfing and really checking to see, especially out in public, what Wi-Fi you use is very important. And finally, there's the credential stuffing. In this type of attack, bad actors use stolen usernames and password to essentially to automatically attempt logging in to targeting companies that have breaches or issues in the past. So these are some of the ways that a bad actor can get to you. Okay. Let's talk about some case studies, real examples. I'll go pretty quickly here. Two case studies that I like to share with everyone here. Number one, this is a story about something that happened to one of our clients before they became a client. The company knew they had some security gaps and simply hadn't had the bandwidth, the time to get around to it and address those issues. Unfortunately, a threat actor used a phishing and an unpatched VPN to successfully to gain credential access to install and to install a ransom. Users were locked out of company systems and system of files were encrypted. The threat actor demanded $1 million to restore access. Okay. I mean, it's just not a good situation. This company being in a critical infrastructure industry like energy, and without some cyber fundamentals in place, unfortunately, the company felt they had no other option but to pay the ransom. And this is a real, true story. It was unfortunate, but they paid the ransom to make sure they can get reactivated. That's one example. The other example that I want to share, just a little bit of proud moment for SensCy. It's where we prevented an issue with one of our existing clients. So a little bit different example. this was our client who wasn't breached. Essentially, a threat actor gained access to the vendor's invoicing system and emails. So watching closely for the next invoice run, the threat actor sent a follow-up email to our client appearing to be a vendor, informing them that their banking information had changed and to use new banking information to pay the invoice. Fortunately, that employee had recently completed their SensCy training on the exact scenario and knew independently how to go by verifying the banking changes. And that's exactly what they did. And they identified that this was a bad actor trying to get $200,000, right? So they share that story, proud moment for us, and we'd like to share it with our colleagues and partners. So a couple of real examples here. All right. What practical steps should an organization take to be safer? So let's kind of shift to that. One thing that we want to highlight, cybersecurity doesn't have to be complicated. If you want to know what needs to be in place, is simply follow the National Institution of Standard and Technology, better known as NIST. It's a U.S. government agency within Department of Commerce that promotes innovation, industry competitiveness, but they also have the foundation that it's needed to have the first line of defense for cybersecurity. Okay, we at SensCy use this framework to assess the cyber posture of clients and to also deliver our capabilities. It's a straightforward way to understand what good cybersecurity looks like. It breaks cybersecurity into simple categories so we can see where an organization is strong, where there are gaps, and what needs to be put in what priority. It's not a technical or overly complicated model. It's a common language that helps us to communicate your cyber posture clearly and just make smarter cybersecurity decisions. So the NIST framework is very critical to follow as a first line of defense to protect yourself when it comes to cybersecurity. The other things that I would say, if we can go to the next slide, look, every company, regardless what you have and don't have, we recommend create a resilience, what we call be resilient in cybersecurity for small and medium-sized companies. There's 3 things think about doing. First step, assessment. Just do an assessment of cyber posture, like a SensCy score, just to give you a clear view of what your current cybersecurity infrastructure, where's it stand? What are your strengths and what are some of the gaps? Real simple. That would be the first step. The second, always think about the people in the process. Some basic stuff implement. Think about strong passwords, multi-factor authentication, provide employee training, having basic response plan. All these little things can make a huge difference in protecting yourself. And the third piece is don't ever get comfortable when it comes to cybersecurity. Always look to make steady progress. It's not about being perfect. It's about building good habits, helping you adapt and recover when something happens. You don't need an infrastructure like Fortune 500 companies, but just a simple, practical, affordable steps or tools to have in place to just kind of keep you safer and make sure you're continuously looking to improve. Because the bad actors, they're constantly getting more creative, especially using the AI tool. And as I mentioned, the first key step is, you'll see on the next slide, is SensCy Score. At the heart of what we do at SensCy is the SensCy Score. It's a quick, no prep cybersecurity assessment model. It is based on NIST cybersecurity framework. It's under 45 minutes. We work with companies. We evaluate their policies, employee behaviors, technical protection, their incident response readiness. We go through 39 questionnaires, and the results that we get, we can see exactly where their cyber posture is. How we measure their results, it's based on numbers 0 to 1,000 that reflects the company's cyber health across the sixth in this pillar. Think about it again like a credit score, but for cybersecurity. Companies that score 800 and above, that's awesome. You're doing all the right things. If you're between 700, 799, you're doing some good things. You might have some gaps here and there that you might be mindful of. If you're below 700, that indicates significant risk. It's just a matter of time. So the goal is always to get to 800 and above. And if you look at the next slide, we've done hundreds and hundreds of these SensCy scores, and you can see what the averages are, right? Only 6% of companies are over 800, 12% for 799. So you're talking about 80% of the clients in small, medium size, they're under a risk, and they're pretty vulnerable. And the average score that we have is about 502. So the importance of doing, going through doing a cyber assessment. All right. Now, real quick, I don't want to spend too much time in here. Companies that score really low, if they're interested in a holistic solution because they want to be in compliance, they need protection, they're thriving, they're growing. At SensCy, we do have the ability to provide a high-tech, high-touch solution. We begin with a structured, continuous cyber health plan aligned to the NIST, give organization a clear and manageable roadmap. We build establish a foundational policies that we put together. We strengthen the employees' knowledge with training and phishing. We provide continuous visibility through vulnerability scanning, dark web, do real-time cyber alerts with a clear remediation guidance. So we provide a complete end-to-end. Our goal is ultimately to mitigate risk, keep our clients aligned with compliance requirement, allow them to thrive while staying focused on their core business. That's for a company that needs our full solution. More than happy to help them out. Now, in terms of our partnership, the solution that we have created with SBAM is where we believe it's a great first step for annual $999 a year. It's a package that you can see on the screen that includes, we provide the SensCy Score that I just got done talking about, a clear understanding of your gaps and what are some of the challenges. In the package also includes continuous process, external vulnerability scanning, a continuous process of scanning your internet-facing systems, IPs, to identify security weakness that hackers could exploit, helps organizations proactively detect and fix any outstanding issues before the actors can find them. And then also continues to do dark web monitoring, right? It's a continuous scanning of hidden online marketplaces and forums that detects exposed credentials, leaked data, confidential information. We can do that, the scanning and the dark web continuously year-round, provide reporting, and once a year take you through and do a SensCy Score and assess your cyber posture. So that's the general package we got through our partnership for $999. All right. With that said, Kim, I went and Kelly as fast as I could. I'm going to transition to you in terms of see if there's any questions.
Yeah, excellent, Frank. Thank you. I can tell you were kind of, I know we said 30 minutes, so thanks for doing that. I think we can hang for a few, certainly for questions, but just to set expectations around next steps. If this is something you're interested in taking a look at, there are two ways that you can get started. Of course, you're welcome to scan the code on your screen, or you can visit SensCy.com, and I'll include a link to the specific page that you can go to if you're interested in signing up when I send the follow-up email from today's session. So thank you very much. And I'll just move quickly here to our last slide. We have a few moments that we can use to answer some questions. Actually, during the presentation, we didn't get any, so I think that shows how thorough you were, Frank. So well done. But if you do have questions, please, now's a great time. Send them in through the chat or the Q&A feature, and we'll give it a minute or so to get any questions, and then we'll take them at that time. All right, I don't see any coming through. So I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and close up today's session. Of course, you will hear from me in follow up. And if you have any questions, of course, please reply. Oh, it looks like we do have a question that came in. Thank you. Okay, so this question, oh, great question, Victoria. Does the $999 include steps to take to improve the score?
Yeah, that is a great question. We can certainly, yes, after you go through the assessment, we'll follow up with a quick call and go over each category where we see as a vulnerability, what are some of the challenges that we see in gaps, and we can share with you what needs to be done to address all those issues. Now, during that call, we do not go over step by step on how to fix it. We could through our expanded service offering, but we can certainly share with you what are some of the challenges and what needs to be done.
Yeah, excellent. Great question. Thank you. Thank you, Victoria, and thank you, Frank. All right, very good. Well, why don't we go ahead and wrap? We thank you again for spending part of your morning with us. And from SBAM and SensCy, we wish you a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, Kelly. Bye.
Bye.